Hi, I'm Annemarie with Speak Confident English, and welcome to this week's Confident English lesson. Where I live right now, it's the middle of flu season, which means it's a period of time when a lot of people are catching a cold or coming down with the flu. In fact, this year it's nearly an epidemic. An epidemic is when something affects a large part of the population very quickly. And of course, when you have a cold or get the flu, you definitely don't want to go to work. You want to stay home and rest, which means you might need to tell your English-speaking boss what's going on. Or maybe an English-speaking friend from work or from your neighborhood calls you to see how you're doing, and all you want to do is talk about how bad you feel. And if it's really bad, then you might need medical help, or maybe you need to go to the pharmacy for medicine, which means you'll have to talk about your symptoms. So how do you do all of this in English? Well, that is exactly what we're going to focus on in today's Confident English lesson. So the next time that you get sick, or maybe your child gets sick, you know exactly what to say in English. In this lesson, I'm going to share a lot of new vocabulary and expressions. So I've also included all 41 ways of talking about being sick in English in the online lesson. Let's start with how to talk about your symptoms, because that's the most important part. If you need to go to the doctor, if you need medicine to make you feel better, then you need to know how to talk about your symptoms, how you're feeling and what's wrong. As I said earlier, right now it's flu season where I live. Everyone I know is sick with the flu. Some people have less severe or less serious symptoms, which is just the common cold. And for both the flu and the cold, there are some common symptoms. For example, you might have a runny nose, which means you're going to need a lot of these. And if you need a lot of these and you have a runny nose, you probably also have the sniffles. With a runny nose and the sniffles, you're also probably sneezing a lot. The opposite of a runny nose is when you can't breathe through your nose, and we say that we have a stuffy nose or a stuffed up nose. Another common symptom for both the cold and the flu is to have a scratchy or itchy throat. This is when it feels so good to drink some hot tea or eat something like toast. And when there's a lot of pain in your throat, we say you have a sore throat. And of course, sometimes with a sore throat, you also have a cough. Now, if you have some additional, more serious symptoms, then you probably have the flu. Oftentimes, when we have the flu, we have body aches. Our whole body is in pain. And when it's really bad, when it feels like the pain is pulsating, we say that it's throbbing. You might also have a headache or simply a backache. Some people also get a fever, or they have a temperature, which is when your body temperature is higher than it should be. And sometimes that can make you feel a little bit dizzy. Now, in addition to the flu, we also have the stomach flu, or to have a stomach bug. A stomach flu includes feeling nauseous in your stomach, or to have an upset stomach. And perhaps you are also vomiting. Now, when someone is vomiting a lot, either due to the stomach flu or maybe something like food poisoning, we say that you can't keep anything down. What that means is you can't keep anything in your stomach. if you eat a cracker or a little piece of bread or drink some water. It doesn't stay in your stomach. Now, of course, it's not just when we have the cold or the flu that we don't feel good. Sometimes we might have an allergic reaction. Maybe you are allergic to something like bees or peanuts, which means you have to avoid contact with those. When someone has an allergic reaction, some common symptoms include a skin rash. This is when your skin might be red or it has little bumps. Maybe it itches or it burns. We could also say that you have hives. For example, if someone eats something and very quickly they start getting red bumps or red splotches on their skin. And again, those might itch, sting, or burn. During the spring season, some people are allergic to pollen, and as a result, they might sneeze a lot, have a very runny nose, and have itchy, watery eyes. Now, that is a lot of new language for how to talk about your symptoms when you're not feeling well in English. But before we finish today, I want to talk about one more thing. And this is what we say when we don't feel well in general. For example, if we have to call our boss to say we can't go to work, we probably won't talk about all of our symptoms, but we do need to say that we're not feeling well. So if you need to call your boss or send an email, you might simply say that you have come down with the flu, or that you are simply not feeling well. Perhaps you would say, I don't feel well and I need to go to the doctor. Or you might be very direct and say, I have a serious cold, or I have the flu, I have a temperature or a fever. Depending on where you work, your boss might require a doctor's note. A doctor's note is simply a short note or a letter from your doctor saying that yes, you need to stay home to rest and recover. You can't go to work. And the same is true for children who need to stay home from school. Most of the time, the school requires a doctor's note. Now, if a friend calls you or a colleague at work, you might be a little bit more informal when talking about how you feel. One common idiom that we use when we're really sick is we say, I'm as sick as a dog. Why? I have no idea, but it is a common expression. Or you could simply say, I hurt all over, which of course means everything is pain and everything feels miserable at that moment. And very informally, sometimes we say, I feel like crap. And that is how you talk about feeling bad, feeling sick, getting ill in English. Now, the best way to immediately learn and be able to use new vocabulary when you need it is to practice. So today I want you to take an opportunity to review the language in the online lesson and then answer my one challenge question, which is, when was the last time you were sick and what were your symptoms? You can use some of this new language by sharing your answer with me in the comment section of the online lesson. And with that, thank you so much for joining me for this week's lesson. If it was useful to you, please be sure to give it a thumbs up on YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and share it on Facebook. Those are 3 really simple ways to let me know that this was helpful. And of course, I wish you nothing but health because let's be honest, getting sick is absolutely miserable. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next week for your Confident English lesson.